The Canadian Airborne Regiment may be called on short notice to carry out a myriad of tasks involved in the conduct of a United Nations ready force, a Defence of Canada or a CANAS operation. The regiment is organized into 5 main elements. Included are 3 rifle commandos, each with 3 rifle platoons and a support weapon platoon, a headquarters and signal squadron, which provides communications and housekeeping facilities and administers the mortar and pathfinder platoons, and a service commando, providing first-line service support. Depending on the assigned task, the intensity of the expected opposition, general climate and terrain conditions, the regiment may be augmented by elements of the Special Service Force to form an airborne battle group.
Airborne duty officer. Just to confirm, quick rig is at 2,400 hours. Dress is winter and follow-up kit is required.
This is Lieutenant Rokash. Quick rig is on.
A quick rig is initiated at W hour by an alert recall. All subsequent timings in the quick rig procedure are based on this key timing.
0745 hours. Okay, bye.
Quick rig is the nickname for the procedures through which the Canadian Airborne Regiment is alerted, formed, regrouped, tasked, and deployed to conduct an operation within a minimum response time.
Port Shillings, Roy what? Security. Make it happen.
One section, let's go. Let's get laid out in the hall up against the smart walker. Over the mess hall.
The warning order is then issued by the regimental headquarters staff. It initiates the battle procedure necessary to prepare the regiment for the upcoming mission. The warning order also allocates a timing for the regimental commander to issue orders at the departure airfield.
The regimental intelligence officer is now collating some insoms and reports and trying to get more detail before we go on the
The Airborne Regiment, as part of a joint task force, has been assigned a seize and hold mission to secure a forward base in support of subsequent operations to be conducted by a follow-up air-landed force. The regiment is to be parachuted into the airhead, with the air-landed link-up expected to occur early the next day. It is augmented by an airborne artillery battery, an engineer troop, and a medical evacuation platoon. The regiment's objective area is the airfield and the associated complex of hangars, communications, maintenance, and administrative buildings. A joint task force headquarters element has been established at the departure airfield. It concentrates on the overall administrative and logistics problems involving the administration, mounting, and resupply of the airborne and air-landed forces, and provides detailed support to the regiment's mounting activities. A liaison officer from the regiment has been established at the Joint Task Force headquarters. His main functions are to advise the commander on the decision to launch the operation and to assist with its coordination. The coordination of mounting activities is essential to timely and efficient deployment. To this end, a regimental organization is formed consisting of a preparation and a mounting element. The preparation element, commanded by the CO of Service Commando, operates from the home base. It stages the regiment from the garrison location to the departure airfield. The main components of the preparation element include a logistics operations center, which coordinates preparation and staging activities, the repair or replacement of all essential equipment, and the receipt of ammunition, stores, and equipment required for the operation. A packing team, which issues rigging materials and combat supplies to units, operates a pre-rigging area, supervises, inspects, and accepts loads, and directs their onward transmission to the departure airfield. And a number of range teams which check and zero the regiment's small arms and direct fire weapons and conduct a technical inspection on the mortars and guns. The mounting element operates from the departure airfield under command of the regimental administrative officer. It stages the regiment through the departure airfield. The main components of the mounting element include a forward headquarters, which coordinates the mounting support for the regiment. It provides briefings and documentation to the airlift force and supervises the preparation of unit equipment for aerial delivery. An emplaning team, which assists with the documentation, preparation, and loading of personnel aboard aircraft. The service support group, which coordinates transport, messing, accommodation, maintenance, and general stores needs. And unit advance parties, which coordinate the receiving of equipment, assist with rigging loads, and help prepare aircraft loading tables. Departure assistance groups are provided from the supporting base and the Canadian Airborne Regiment to process personnel and equipment for operational deployment. The personnel group checks the medical, administrative, and spiritual fitness of each member of the battle group and updates documents and records. The equipment group ensures that unserviceable equipment is either repaired or replaced, that unit holdings of stores and supplies are replenished as required, and that vehicles and cargo are ready for the move to the departure airfield. Paralleling the mounting and administrative activity is the ongoing battle procedure which prepares the airborne force for its pending mission.
Okay. Here's the latest update.
Okay, can you just show me where they are on the...
Intelligence updates are distributed and the regimental commander prepares a detailed estimate, plan, and preliminary orders.
We have a mission, and what I would like to do now is get the warning order out to the battle group as quickly as possible.
The main body departs the garrison location and moves to the departure airfield. On arrival, the main body is met by representatives of the mounting element advance parties. Personnel are allotted transient accommodations and ration facilities and continue battle procedure for the operation. In the meantime, the transport aircraft are beginning to concentrate at a departure airfield, where they are converted for parachute operations. This involves the changing of fittings, fixing seats, positioning hookups for anchor lines, and installing roller systems to handle the heavy loads. Details regarding the aircraft conversions, timings, sequencing and control of personnel and equipment to be dropped or air-landed, and aircraft arrangements are coordinated by the Air Transport and Airborne Regiment liaison officers. These are laid down on the air movement and aircraft loading tables. Imperative in the preparation of these tables is the concept of tactical cross-loading in support of the ground tactical plan. This involves the loading of key individuals, subunits, and equipment on specific aircraft, ensuring that all elements arrive on the same drop zone at roughly the same time, and minimizes the effects of the loss of any one aircraft through mechanical malfunction or enemy action.
And the last aircraft is to include...
Once all the operational details have been coordinated, the regimental commander issues his orders.
...enemy as possible. Thank you very much.
At the departure airfield, an airlift control center is established, which incorporates a control element for planning, coordinating, and tasking of airlift activities and a number of MAMS teams to load and rig cargo. A movement control center is set up close to the ALCE and coordinates the flow of vehicles, equipment, and personnel to the airfield. Loads accompanying personnel on the main drop are placed on board the aircraft and hooked up by the MAMS teams prior to the emplaning of the troops. When ready, they are turned over to the aircraft loadmaster, who is responsible for the preparation and rigging of the aircraft prior to takeoff. Loadmasters also provide the communications link between the aircraft commander and parachutists to coordinate dispatch procedures during the mission. The ground tactical plan requires the use of 2 drop zones. The main DZ was selected to provide immediate access to the terminal buildings, powerhouse, and fuel storage site, and thereby defeat any attempt at their demolition. It includes an area which can handle the guns, ammunition, and other heavy loads. An alternate DZ has also been selected, which is of an adequate size to handle the entire drop should the main DZ become unusable. A Pathfinder group has been assigned to each DZ and inserted outside the objective area, 24 to 48 hours in advance of the main assault force. After landing, each group moves to their respective DZ area and establishes a patrol base. From there, they recce the surrounding dominating terrain, the routes to the various objectives, and the DZ surface confirming its suitability, and advise the force commander of any hazards along the aircraft approach route. Troops arrive at the regimental emplaning point in chalk groupings and strap on their parachutes and personal equipment. Once dressing is completed, they are inspected by their jumpmaster. The final aircrew coordination is completed by the pilot, and the JM briefs his chalk on the technical parameters of the jump and on any specific safety considerations.
Will assist him in collapsing his parachute.
Once ready, and on order of regimental headquarters, personnel board their respective aircraft, and manifests are collected by the emplaning staff.
Try and work out at least 3 drop zones per purse.
Meteorological forecasts for the period are favorable, and the time to begin the drop, or PR, is scheduled for 1200 on the 22nd. This will permit the quick securing of objectives and a reorganization by daylight, followed by a period of darkness where any enemy moving against the force will be at a disadvantage. The link-up with the air-landed force is planned for first light. The timings will also assist with the suppression of enemy air defense fire and facilitate close air support and air superiority missions. The Airborne Regiment, including its load of equipment, ammunition, and stores, requires approximately 36 C-130 chalks. The first lift will include all essential assault elements, with subsequent lifts delivering sustaining elements, stores, and any equipment needed for the duration of the operation. The balance of attached engineer and A-echelon personnel and equipment will be airdropped or landed as part of the link-up phase following the securing of the airhead. Minutes before PR, the DZ is marked. The DZ controller takes charge of the drop. The guides move to the DZ RVs in anticipation of the arrival of the assault, and the FOOs and MFCs direct close air support aircraft and any in-range artillery against pre-planned and opportunity targets. On approaching the chosen DZ, the assault force formation flies as close to the ground as possible to mask aircraft from enemy radar and air defense fire. At the last minute, they pop up to jump altitude and slow down to their drop speed. The loads are then dispatched from the aircraft ramps, followed by the paratroopers through the side doors. The aircraft immediately drop down to their ground masking altitude for the return trip. On landing, the assault elements recover accompanying equipment and head to their designated RVs. At the RV, a waiting guide meets up with and quickly briefs the commando on its objective and the route to it, and they depart the RV to carry out their assault tasks. The regimental commander's tactical headquarters is deployed well forward, commanding a view of the initial objectives. Here, he confirms the tactical plan and provides the required direction to the operation. The rifle commandos are equipped with small arms, light automatic weapons, and short-range anti-armor weapons to deal with hardened point targets and lightly armored vehicles. They manufacture ammunition and equipment. Each commando may include vehicles for communications, direct fire weapons, and ammunition resupply. The assault continues until the commandos have achieved their initial objectives and the airhead is secured. The regimental headquarters is initially established adjacent to the DZ. It deploys as a command post with its integral operations and intelligence sections. Co-located with the HQ is the Fire Support Coordination Center, which is based on the headquarters elements of the mortar platoon and the supporting artillery battery. The Recce platoon operates from the RHQ location, providing patrols and establishing OPs to give warning of approaching enemy forces. The Signal Squadron locates near the command post. It mans the regimental command net, the headquarters' internal communications, and the rear link back to the Joint Task Force headquarters. A military police section assists with protection of the headquarters complex, any local traffic control requirements, and the handling of PWs. Other elements are operational within minutes of landing. The airborne battery deploys an FSCC element, 4 observer parties, and 12 105mm guns. The gun position is initially located near the heavy lift DZ. 24 rounds of ammunition are stacked on each gun platform, and additional ammunition is normally dropped adjacent to their firing positions. The battery can also jump with mortars in lieu of the L5 gun. The mortar platoon, with its 6 firing detachments, can operate from a central location or from 2 dispersed sites. A minimum of 100 rounds accompanies each mortar on the initial drop. The guns and mortars bring down fire on targets designated by the FOOs and MFCs attached to the commandos and the Recce detachments. The service commando deploys as an A-echelon group at the airhead, with its integral supply, transport, and maintenance assets. It recovers stores from the DZ, breaks bulk ammunition into issue groups for each commando, arranges for the forward delivery of sustaining stores and follow-up kits, and assists with the security of the airhead. The bulk of the airborne engineer troop would normally accompany the assault element. They gather their stores and equipment and begin work on their task of opening a landing strip. They search for mines, fill in craters, clear snow, and remove rubble. Once serviceable, the runway area is turned over to an accompanying tactical air movement section, which organizes it to receive the oncoming air-landed force. In the meantime, a low-altitude parachute extraction zone has been established by the TAMs adjacent to the airfield. It is used to continue the buildup of stores and equipment. Medical support to the force is initially provided at casualty collecting points by medical assistants attached to the commandos. They provide immediate aid to the wounded and help move them to the unit medical station. Casualties are moved rearward from the CCPs to the UMS, which is located in the A echelon area. It functions under the direction of the regimental surgeon, who prioritizes treatment and provides life-sustaining care. The Airborne Evacuation Platoon is located at the airhead, where it evacuates patients from the UMS, assists with the provision of medical care, the operation of a limited casualty holding facility, the preparation of patients for evacuation, and their staging back to the mounting base. Casualties are evacuated from the airhead in returning aircraft or by aeromedical evacuation flights. Emergency sustaining care on a medevac flight is provided by a medical escort team of nurses and medical assistants. After arriving back at the mounting base, casualties are moved to a forward casualty staging station, where they are processed and directed to the appropriate medical facility. Once the objectives have been secured, each commando consolidates their assigned defense sector. The regimental HQ relocates to where it can best direct the fight against any enemy attempting to recapture the airfield. The guns and mortars redeploy to more centralized firing positions. The recce elements depart on their reconnaissance tasks, and the anti-armor detachments take up positions covering the main approaches. At first light, the first of the air-landed chalks arrive with the balance of the regiment's personnel and equipment, and the initial elements of the follow-up force. The troops deplane, and equipment is unloaded to join the developing airhead. The engineers complete any further improvements to the airstrip and carry out other conventional engineer tasks. Prisoners taken during the operation are held in an airhead PW collecting point, where they are interrogated by the Airborne Force intelligence staff. PWs are normally evacuated by air as soon as possible after capture. This production has outlined the organizational structure of the Airborne Regiment and has touched on some of the procedures involved in the mounting and conduct of a seize and hold mission. Other types of airborne operations share similar problems and procedures, and each will have its own characteristics depending on the capability of the enemy, the terrain, and the climatic conditions surrounding the objective area.